Hello, my friends. This is the Rocky Outcrop Show where we take a look at financial stocks, news, trading, technical analysis, all things from the financial world to set us up for a good day ahead, trading and learning technical analysis and financial freedom. My name's Rocky Outcrop. This, of course, being the Rocky Outcrop Show. It is currently 11 minutes after the hour, and we've got our first like in here from Carissa. Thank you so much. Hutch in there in the chats as well. Third time's the charm, and that's correct. That does seem to be the pattern this week. Absolutely. And you know what? I'll start off today's show by saying I absolutely condemn all racists, and all racists at all will always be immediately thrown out of any environment that I'm in. Bad analogy to be using indeedy doody to make any comparisons between anything at all, especially since racism is one of the things that I care most passionately about on the earth. Merely I meant to say that that guy doesn't matter about his numbers and doesn't matter about anything. To me, he is a nobody, and that is the way it will remain. And of course, it's the same with all the other nobodies out there in the world. And that's where we are. All right, great, excellent, back at it. Well, we can talk about news for the next sort of 5 minutes just to bring us through to quarter past the hour, and then we can tick on it with a bit of the TA. We can check and see what the GME chart looked like, etc. Maybe do some crypto technical analysis before the markets open up, and then come back around again to look at some charts. Please, community, look at SPRT. It is squeezing now. Ooh, interesting. SPRT. Yes, that is, of course, the support.com, and we can take a look at that. Try to limit the devices connected to the Wi-Fi or use an ETH cable along with the settings to prioritize streaming traffic. Yep, cool, excellent. These are the things that I will definitely be fixing this weekend. Not next weekend, not last weekend, but this weekend coming up. The reason for it is because I will have time to do such things, and I will absolutely. I'll make it so it's better one way or the other. I really don't know. Just believe me that this is really important to me, and I am more or less technologically savvy, so I do endeavor to put on a good, reliable show. Right, brilliant. And with that being said, let's jump back over to the smaller screen. This, again, is the time. I know you might feel like you've already hit like on my videos twice today. I'd request you hit like again. Yeah, I know. I'm a real. I really just love that like button. It's what it is. Just love it so much. So yeah, it's a reminder to folk. Oh, and as we can see here now, Streamlabs doesn't have my browser up in the background. Well, that's no big deal. It doesn't have my browser up in the background. I was standing in line. Let me just put all that chat I had earlier on about the accents and that into context and that as well. I was standing in line in Spain to get into a historical monument museum thing. And it was on holiday, right, with a bunch of Irish people. And there were Scottish people standing in front of me in the line to get in. Friends, do you want to hear what a real broad Scottish accent sounds like? Because these ones were like real chookters, like from way up north in Scotland, and their accent was like full on. Now, these my friends were like, oh right, and they listened and that, and they then heard me saying all that stuff and turned around and they're like, oh, what's going on there? Where are you from? Like, and I says, I'm from Edinburgh. And then they says to me, oh, that's not Scottish at all. That's not a Scottish accent. And you know what? Fuck those guys for saying that, because at the time, right, that was just a little bit of a joke that Scottish people can have with each other, because I'm from the lowlands in Scotland and my accent's less broad perhaps than others. It's also like doesn't necessarily tickle all of the massively ego-inflated attitudes of people like, you know, Glaswegians who think that they've got a great accent even though they actually all sound like, I don't know, a mouse trapped inside a beer can. And anyhow, they're saying to me, that's not a real Scottish accent that you got there. And I was like, well, that's really annoying, because here I am standing next to a bunch of people who are actually quite sectarian, and they dislike me for being Scottish and everything, and you're kind of undermining even my own Scottish identity, which albeit is one that puts me in a position where I experience racism on a daily basis. But now you're making it so that I'm suffering racism for no point, because it's my own identity that you're denying me, which is an awful situation to be in. So there you go. You know, it's like I wouldn't like to do that to anybody else ever. And it's like the most tepid example of racism, but I think it speaks something towards as well towards myself in terms of my own identity, right? And what it is to have your identity denied. And I think that that's a big part of what it is, you know, that no matter how it gets you in the end. Right, so excuse me as I sort of looked around there. News and DD. We have other news coming in here. A couple of minutes of news we can do, I suppose, and then move on. Axel's mainstream media in Germany, and they buy out Politico. They're the Forbes guy. That's somebody else sharing that news that I was bringing to you as well. We have this coming in from Bad Mama Jama: coronavirus and housing homelessness, national eviction moratorium. This is a big deal. The word moratorium strikes me as saying, like, look, at the very least, it's worth clicking this article and not allowing it to be simply a moratorium. We will discuss these things as well, in terms of at least it being like that there's no moratorium on discussing it yourselves, you know. The new eviction moratorium provides immediate relief for the 6.5 million renter households who are, oh yes, but of course there is a moratorium. Oh, brilliant. So, they've actually done that. Oh, they've done relief for them, have they? So they're not being evicted. Wait, the new moratorium prevents renters and communities experience substantial high levels. Oh, it's good. This is good news. Oh, good stuff. So that's a moratorium on that. Excellent. If you're someone who knows someone in emergency rental assistance, right? If you or someone you know needs emergency rental assistance, people, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211 will connect you to a local call center that can share information about local programs that might be able to help. Find your local rental assistance program using NLIHC's database. Get further guidance from legal aid attorney, and contact your representatives and senators, okay, and district offices and all that stuff. That's what you got to be doing, and there's a bit of information about that, and you don't necessarily perhaps need to be in quite as sticky a situation as you otherwise would be. That's some good news for some people, but obviously overall it's kind of shit that's happening to anyone. Got a big chunk of text in here talking about how it's definitely of interest to me and in line with the Kern Bros educational outlook. Let's read a little bit of this. This is a thread from David Bowles. I'll let you in on a secret. I have a doctorate in education, but the field's basically just 100 years old. That's not true. We don't really know what we're doing. Our scholarly understanding of how learning happens is like astronomy 2,000 years ago. That's a nice analogy. This 100 years old thing is not true. Let me just go and kind of demonstrate this to you in a nice way. Hospital etymology. Maybe this will help. I don't know if it'll be necessarily accurate in terms of what Google's got there in its book. Middle English in hospital via Old French medieval hospitali, neuter of Latin hospitals, hospitable from hospice, hospit, see host. The word for hospital in English is obviously hospital. We all know what a hospital is, but there's a street in Edinburgh here called Hospital Row, and on that Hospital Row there was a hospital indeed for treating injured sick people, and then there is a school, and that school is also a hospital. And in Scotland back in the day, all of these things, schools and public work and food houses, soup kitchens, and indeed medical places were set up. Hospitals were invented here in Scotland, and it isn't just about the word hospital. Although in modern language, that's what it is. It's actually we're set up in Scotland, you know, and it's not necessarily and a lot of things like for me personally, I use the Socratic method whenever I'm teaching. So I would make the debate, but I would say that commonly, though, what the guy's saying is obviously accurate. Obviously, that, you know, teaching and the standards and the norms, etc., just 100 years old. You never know where the guy's from either. Before the 19th century, no human society had ever attempted to formally educate the entire populace. I mean, that's bollocks, right? Well, you know, it's not necessarily. Well, I mean, it's just the debate point, right? Anyway, but I'm not going to debate this thing. It's an interesting article. Most teachers perpetuate the banking model Freire used on the teachers, who likewise inherited it from theirs. Thus, the elite lyceum style of instruction continues, even though it's ineffectual with most kiddies. What's worse, the key strategies we've discovered. All of this is true. I'm just talking about the history of the thing. From my own perspective of living in a country that's enlightened. What's worse, the key strategies we've discovered and then started the Enlightenment, right? And this is where it all came from over here in Scotland, Joe. What's worse, the key strategies we've discovered, driven by cognitive science and child psychology, are quite regularly dismissed as pencil-pushing, test-driven administrators, much like people Some definitions, banking model, kids are piggy banks, empty till you fill them with knowledge that you're expert in. Lyceum, oh yes, of course, that's very much like Mr. Grindstone in Charles Dickens's classic, is it not, everybody? That's right. Do you remember, of course, is he in that part of the book when Mr. Grindstone is addressing his class and he calls them all empty vessels? Do you remember that from that Dickensian thing? I do. Good point. Absolutely. Right. Good one. That's where that comes from, by the way. That's where that is. Lyceum, originally Aristotle's school where the sons of landowning citizens learned through lectures and research. Yeah, cool. Okay. Right, so there's a degree of elitism there, but I mean, come on, right? Homework doesn't really help, especially with younger kids. Right, I'm going to be trying to give you homework today if I can remember to do that, though. Students don't learn a thing from testing. Most teachers, that's true, they don't. But you learn how to win in tests, and by jingles, that gets you far in life if you know how to do a test. Spending too much time on weak subjects hurts. Oh, big time. Do you want kids to learn? Here's something we've discovered. Kids learn that things that matter to them. Great, excellent. We don't know how people learn. That's totally true. But we do know that kids aren't empty piggy banks. They're brimming with thought. Fantastic. Let's inspire some of that. Let's transform it. What I like to do is do transformative knowledge anyway. I'm talking, thankfully for me, I'm talking to adults most of the time. Shout out to Nick. But kids are indeed not knowledgeable in the same way that adults are, and what I get to benefit from hugely is transformative knowledge, where I actually take the stuff that people already know about the world and about charts and everything else and help transform that, and it's like, wow, it's amazing. Anyway, brilliant stuff. Cool, that was fun. We're 23 past the hour, really dragging late today. Everything's taking me way longer, so I'll just speed things up. That's all I know how to do. So I'll just speed things up as we go here with the show. Thank you, by the way, for joining me. Do hit that like button. Stay with us because we have markets opening up in about 6 minutes or so. Doing a quick look through at some TA before we dive into anything here with the markets opening up, just to see how we left off yesterday. Zooming on in here, this is the GME for our chart. Is GameStop. If you're not aware, GameStop is one of the big potential movers and shakers this year. Already has been in terms of its volatility, and it could absolutely have big impacts across the wider economy. For a lot of people who are just joining us here to talk about stocks in general, and they don't know about GameStop, it's maybe worth pointing out a couple of things, like how back in January and February, people actually tried to put blame onto the retail market for potentially damaging the finances of retirees in the future, because pension funds invest in hedge funds that act nefariously, and it's a world where essentially, with regards to this stock and a couple of other ones out there, that there's a very much a them v us mentality, which has been driven actually almost exclusively really by the hedge funds, the government, the mainstream media, etc. themselves, and like TradeSpotting, my much beloved brother, we are simply the natural born reaction to the fuckers that rule the world. So essentially, that's a moot point argument, but what you're experiencing when you come here and look at GME is, of course, technical analysis, education, all that good stuff, and as well, in many ways, something that represents a lot of hopes and dreams for retribution against the damage that was put upon us back in 2008, and has been put upon us the bigger man's wishes. So here we have the GME charts, and we can see that the prices in and around about this zone are kicking it around about the 236 Fibonacci retracement point. The 236 Fibonacci retracement point coming in at $203. And by kicking about, what I mean is that they're actually floating around above the 236 at the minute. There's been red candles, green candles, and all that lately, but the recent rise up in prices has been quite a vertical looking green candle rise up really over the last couple of weeks. Although for a long time during that, it didn't really feel necessarily much like that to people on the front end of it. Back when the prices were down here at the lows at $145 or so, and then they rose up to $165 over the period, of a couple of weeks, and then dropped back down to $150 again. It felt like perhaps, we weren't going anywhere. And the reason for that is because, of course, we'd previously been in a downward trend where we'd seen all this happen before, also many times without ever changing anything. Where even in terms of just simply, if you were to have looked at the price action and popped on a descending diagonal line which touches all of the upper parts of the price action on the charts back, going through May, June, July into August, then we still hadn't even broken that come the 16th of August, and when we retraced back down to the lows at $145, $150 or $150 or so in the 19th of August, right? So that was that, but we actually had started to turn things around at that point. So that's when we kind of, where we're talking about that. And then things really did dramatically rise up from that 153 price point and pulled back down again thereafter. Now, within that, then, what you can do and around that is you can take a Fibonacci from the lows that came in at that low down at the 4th of August, before we did that 2 weeks of not quite really emotionally turning things around for anybody, up to the highs that we've just had here over the last couple of days, up at 225, when you consider that's a 50% rise over that period of time. And we can draw Fibonacci retracement from that low to that high to establish where we are now. And over that, the prices on the 4-hour time frame, which is what I've got up in the charts at the minute, have gone down below that area and closed down below the 236, having gone down below $5. It actually then resurged back up above that line ever since and has been doing good so far. This can be a very early sign that there's potential for a move, which could be a big retracement. If we were to have the big retracement, so to speak, and go down to where the 618 is, that 618 in terms of the Fibonacci, it's kicking around about $170. Where that would look like visually, by the way, is where the tops of the wicks were at that previous high in around about the 16th of August, where the prices had gone up as high as $170, but actually, they were still yet to go on to close down at 150. So that the 618 is obviously where that support round to there. Now, is that going to happen? I'm not saying it's going to. I'm just merely talking about what would maybe be a thing that you might start thinking about if we see prices, closing 4-hour and above candles consecutively and getting follow through below $200 and $200. Right, well, actually, yeah, I try to speed things up, but I'm also keeping things nice and visual here, so hopefully that was something that you could understand. Shout out to Corey as well. Don't be late for work, buddy. In fact, all of you guys out there that are meant to be at work right now, if you've not arrived yet, be careful. You're going to be late. And as we jump over to AMC and witness the markets opening up, which will be opening up in the next sort of 30 seconds here for me, and by the time you're hearing this, opening up really for you. Happy morning to you all. It's 9:30 in the morning. My name's Rocky Outcrop. This is technical analysis done with aplomb. Hey, hitting like on the video is appreciated by me. We're currently below this horizontal line that I'd drawn on the charts recently. Now, this horizontal line that I had on the charts showed us a little inflection point in the markets. We had previously found support there after going up to our rise recently on AMC at $48, and then came back down looking to try and find support at that horizontal line. It failed. We moved down below the 236. We closed below it and got some follow through, and we went down to the 382. The markets themselves opening up here and kind of giving us that little sense that we've come, in a sense, close enough to 382, but this is where we were going anyway. Over there on GME land, you can see that that where we are right now is kicking out around about $206. So we're still fine. The 236, by the way, is at let's just call it $204 on GME. On AMC, the 236 that we're looking at in the Fibonacci retracement, which we want to take back out towards the Fibonacci retracement, is in there at 42.75. The 382, which is would be just below where the prices are currently operating, is in there at 39.67. We could easily visit that number today, even in the here and now. The main thing for us is, would we be seeing support here at the 382, which is your typical shallowest retrace following on from a confirmed Fibonacci retracement tool analysis crossover of the 236, and here we are just visiting that right now live Ding, ding, ding. The prices are at that right now. And the question for us then is whether or not we could be visiting this lower number of $37. You'll remember in the past I drew a big heart around 37. It's an inflection and a pivot point in the market. And that would be where the 57 or the 50% Fibonacci retracement tool is. And it's also where our prior highs were as well in terms of the price action. So if we were to see a drop down and go for a move down the way, we'd be hoping to find support in it around about that $37 to $38 number. But actually, for me personally, what I want to see right here, right now, is indeed the 39 whatevers to have been that low for the day. It would have been me trying to get in there at 39.39. You know me, I like certain funny numbers. It probably went down as low as 31.51, so I would have had to have compromised and gone for 39.93, I guess, in terms of how I would think about that one. That's where we're kicking about at the minute in terms of AMC. So we started off the day, we've had, in terms of like gaps and stuff like that, we like to talk about, there isn't any. We've come down, we've touched the 382, you know, at the start of the day, they said maybe we got close enough, but I still want to see that being the target. Well, we've done that now. You know, there's nothing necessarily massively bullish in this. We've not broken towards the top side. Wow, this is amazing. What we're talking about is how we're responding towards the negative end towards yesterday, and so far we're doing pretty good. And it looks like, you know, could we get an engulfing candle? I think seeing prices closing up there at about $41 during the first half an hour of trading today would be very positive on AMC. And over here in GME, as we've done, filled in this gap here in the 50-minute time frame straight away, come back down to visit roughly in around about that 204 price point. The lows today being 204.84, where the 236 is. So we're currently above that 236. Market structure wise, you know, we've not taken out any of our previous highs, but we've got a little bit of green on the go. Again, I would feel like if we were to take out 215, 216, etc., close that out in the first half hour of the trading, that's a pretty healthy overall start to the day. And we're hoping to try and, you know, continue to see 200 be support for us, and then for us to actually try and test a little bit higher and show that there's a willingness to push prices up, even if it's simply a wick that pushes away from high prices. That would be nice to see. And that's where we are right now. Seeing TradeSpawn putting in some fisty signs in there. That's pretty cool. Even Supersonk liked it. I wonder what that could possibly be. The interview with the gist was good, really good maybe. It was fantastic, TradeSpawn. You absolutely knocked it out the park. You could see the gist himself every so often getting to the end of when you'd said something and being absolutely overwhelmed. That you could tell that he actually struggled to come up with a sentence to actually respond to the sheer magnitude of the quality that you delivered on that episode, man. I watched it, and every second watching it, I was incredibly proud of you to be my brother, and I think that is wonderful stuff. Everybody should watch that episode. Jimmy speaks passionately and coherently, cogently about the markets that we're in, and it's really good, and it makes you think about how everything's been working for us long before he ever opens up a chart and takes a look at anything to do with technical analysis. In fact, the whole thing is mostly just discussion, and it's really lovely to see it. It's quite cool as well that you get to see Jamie's background without him using the green screen, just so you get that little sort of behind the scenes feeling. Of course, I'm intimately familiar with it, visiting there on the daily to say hi to my brother and have a cup of tea, because of course sometimes it's nice to have tea time with Jamie. No tea, that's fine, have coffee. In fact, there's very rarely tea down there with him, because KT of Charka sent some very, very, very nice coffee over to us, and we drink that all the time instead. Had a real life ape come to a show this week. Flew all the way from San Francisco to Minneapolis to show solidarity. No one like us. Holy smokes, Ronaldo. That's amazing. Who is that? Is that somehow through this community? Even if it's not, and it's just some friend, you know, personal friend. Amazing stuff. Totally brilliant. Ronaldo, though. You'll have people flying all around the world to see you anyway in due course, buddy. You're a wonderful musician and person. SPRT is suspended already, yeah, presumably because of pre-market trading. The initial sort of excitement for this thing didn't necessarily grab me enough when somebody asked me to take a look at it earlier on. I should have done looking in here, but as you can see, it's gone up. What would you have wanted me to say? I would have said short, an opportunity to short that now. If you get an opportunity to short the fuck out of that thing right now. So that's what I would have said. Looking at this one, it has dropped, of course, a massive amount from nearly $39 down to nearly $33. It's not quite, it's actually a little bit less, but if that was $6, then that would be 20%-ish type thing in prices. I don't know. It's not quite as much as that though. Getting at the merging tool, just 12. Just 12. Oh, my math was so terrible. Just 12. Anyway, what you wanted to do on this thing is being pushed up here. You need to know about it in terms of like, has it got really any reasons for that to have happened? You know, beyond what's available to be seen here, just in terms of, you know, understanding what's happening here with this chart. I mean, is there something that we should know about that maybe isn't you know, in this and happening here? I don't know, or whatever. What's going on here though? I mean, there's not enough volume. There was some volume, sure, great. Yeah, there's some volume, and we see the MACD having pushed up a wee bit here. Incidentally though, the put call thing, it's still, you know, it's still ever so slightly long on this one, as well, to see that. Although that would obviously take the markets to not be halted to actually see that change in any way, I guess. RSI came up with. Look at some other things though. How about we look at some other things? Right, actually, you know what, screw this. Trying to cater for what I anticipate people might want in the audience is going to not get me anywhere. I'm going to there's a glimpse of the future, meeting all my friends. Man, that's so suggestion. Let's take a look at it. Ashford Hospitality Trust. This is a stock which is doing good today. It's doing good today. Nice. Okay, cool. Nice one. Excellent. This is a 15-minute time frame, so it's somewhat deceptive in terms of, like, you know, the size of all this stuff. Let's go up to a bigger time frame to put this into perspective for us. 4-hour time frame, whenever it obliges to load up on screen, and make it full screen for us, and we can see here that as I kind of make this into a bigger context, that there is the chance that this downward sloping kind of resistance area is no longer working, it's no longer valid. You know, there's that chance that we pushed past that, extend it on down past the previous price with the recent pullback in prices. There's the chance always that the 382 is where you see prices turning around at, and prices have turned around at this point so far, having closed below the 236. There's the chance that we close above the 236 and invalidate this, which would allow us to remove it from the charts like that and think about things differently. So there's all of those things moving to. We could actually go on and take out our previous high in here. There's a chance that just this most recent pushback gives us enough fuel in the rocket to just go directly to 1644 with the next thrust up the way. Those are all for us, and that's not too bad a situation to be in overall with this one. So far, decent start to the day. Tiny volume. So let me just point this out here. What we're seeing here is obviously so far tiny volume on this movement compared to the movements that we've seen over the last few days, which had bigger volume and that. So interesting to see how this goes. It's not moving on much volume so far, which is fine. We've had green price action while there's not been a massive amount of selling into it, and that's what you want to see in a sense. Now obviously the ideal thing is to see big volume, because it means that there's so much buying pressure there that it pushes past all of the selling pressure to suck it all up. And it's like, look at that, even though there was so much selling pressure, we sucked it all up and we ran on past it. And there's that type of thing, right? And then there's also just the knowledge that when we've had a retracement down the way, that there isn't anybody in there thinking, oh, if only it went back up a buck, then I would be able to sell everything that I've got, and it doesn't have to push through liquidity to get to a certain zone, which is kind of nice to have as an understanding. There's two sides to every coin as ever. And what I'm going to do on this chart is I'm going to just add in the VPVR as well. Now, this isn't going to be super useful for this particular circumstance, VPVR, but it's something. But it's something. I actually just went to the VPVR chart, didn't I? Stock. I don't know. I'm getting told by YouTube that my streaming thing's not going so well. Seeing that the chart's experiencing buffering, you know, all that stuff. I do wish that was a thing that was possible. We'll you know, the fact of the matter is that it actually genuinely has an irrationally a strong impact on me as well with what I'm trying to do here, and and it sucks. So I'm the last person that wants that to be happening. Things to be aware of with regards to AHT, even if I'm unaware currently if this is broadcasting, are that we're above the 50% price point here, which is obviously a good place to be. So we're looking to try and find support in here at 1483. Who knows if it'll work or not? Being aware that there could be profit taking coming in at $15. It's the round number. It's where the golden pocket is, and as well, it's where the last thing of price action is. So here's one of these things. So I'm obviously struggling with today's stream. It's not going the way I wanted it to go. But here we have an opportunity, I suppose, to talk directly to the likes of Dober Mamba, who was asking me for a bit of chat yesterday. So I'm actually going to make this into a little clip so it can be understood. And this is in part for Dober Mamba specifically. Shout out to you, my buddy. You're a good guy. And in part for every other person out there that wants to have better explanations done. Hi, my friends. My name's Rocky Outcrop. Technical analysis can be very hard to understand. What you see when you look at charts so often is just a bunch of noise, and you've got somebody in the corner, perhaps like myself, talking quickly about how things are going on. And while you can see that there are like diagonal lines on the chart that you can draw on, for instance here on this one, which happens to be called Ashford Hospitality Trust, AHT, whatever, you think to yourself, yeah, okay, I can see this diagonal line, but I've got no idea why the prices would, come to any particular price point. Why would the prices turn around over here? And why would they go up? And why would they experience any other resistance or anything else? And how to reconcile these things together and how to get it, because it is hard to get. Lots of this is really, really hard to get, and it doesn't necessarily get explained so well. And, well, I'm going to try and do a little bit of that just now, just real quick, just to try and help you kind of piece together a couple of little things. So if I were to show you this, for example, this chart here, this is Ashford Hospitality Trust, like I said, and you can see that there's all this kind of junk on here, these noises that are like, make it so that you've got distraction as you're trying to look at the charts. It is difficult to see what's going on as well. And I appreciate that. In here right now is in this little zone just here, there are a whole bunch of candles, right? So on this time frame, this is the 15-minute time frame, and looking back the way in terms of this thing, just in this little chunk alone, there's 51 of those 15-minute periods. That's quite a long time to have waited. So if I zoom back out again and show you, like, in terms of what we're looking at here, there's loads of data on the chart, but just that little section alone, that's 51 periods. Now I know you get that already, all right, and I'm not explaining that to you because you understand what candles, etc. are. But just to show you that in terms of like this piece of price action here as a whole has relevance compared to the larger holes in the past, and that this is being the 50-minute time frame. It shows you the detail, of course, like we know, like we all like to look at as well, of what the bigger type candles have got within them. So this is just this little chunk of 4-hour candles going back a couple of days, but it's 50 15-minute period candles, and we can then compare that to the bigger picture. Now this then becomes an easier, bigger picture to make comparisons between, because that data is like squeezed into nicer, clearer candles, sure, and that's on the charts and it's distracting, etc. in a sense, but it gives us some context. So here's a wedge, and from this wedge they've got a certain thing. So I'm just going to like clear this a bit, so you can see. So I'll make it clear up a bit so you can see. I'll make that line yellow at the top there and make this line yellow at the bottom, and this is what I mean when I'm talking about the wedge. And I'm aware, actually, sorry, that this is behind me on the screen, so I'm going to move this over. There's that wedge, right? And what does that wedge do? Well, it informs us of support and resistance potentially in terms of where our previous highs were, which form that downward sloping diagonal line. And it forms us of a couple of things to do with like ideas that go into what pattern trading is and how to manage risk amongst the pattern and trade breakouts, etc. And then it gets increasingly more complicated as you talk about things. But let's just take this upper yellow line. So I'm going to put this line at the bottom back to being what it was before, which was what? Green, right? So it's less obvious. And talk about this top line just real quick and say, well, this top line, how it connects up these upper areas, they're going to be some of that they're going to potentially be some of that horizontal support and resistance as well. Probably, you know, if we look over to the left and then compare these peaks and troughs, etc., to where we had peaks and troughs in the past, then we'll probably be able to start identifying horizontal support and resistance to go along with it all. And we can do that here. We can see at the top, looking over to the left, that there was this, like you can see these lows that came in the middle of the screen there on 21st of April. If I just take a horizontal line and pop it in here, right, then you'll see that lines up with this prior high, which was part of that downward sloping line. So in here, there's probably a horizontal support and resistance for us that we could be aware of in the future. And you can build that up and do more and more of that. So what we're looking to do is to take this circle of smaller time, and I'm aware it's been a few minutes till I've got back around to talking about it, but we're going to take this circle of like smaller, you know, more recent price action, knowing the context of the bigger picture around us, and then go ahead and analyze that. So now we're zooming on in to try and do that a wee bit. And in the 4-hour time frame at this point, it now becomes kind of a bit harder to make these assertions, although we can still make broad ones, like here's a low, like we can still make broad assertions about the market quite easily, such as here's a low here in price, up there, up above, there's a high in price, and we can say then we're hoping for this next red area to be in a higher low, and so on and so forth, and that's all very good. But then we can see all of this in a bit more detail if we jump down to the 15-minute time frame again, and we can look at where we are. So we'll bring this up, auto button. And this is that section that we're kind of concerned about. Like, are we going to go past this previous high that we've got? Can we do that or not? And how can we trade and all this sort of stuff? Now, you can trade on the broad term time frames, like we started looking at, 4-hour, daily, etc., using these exact same concepts I'm about to start using just here. But obviously, it's on the bigger time frame, and you put your order in, and a couple of days later, maybe it gets taken, and a few days later after that, it kind of goes into profit for you, and a few days after that, maybe you close it. That could be something of like a swing trade. And here we're looking at something which is maybe more akin to be an intraday trading. Then we're looking and we're saying, well, how do we reconcile these two things together? Because if I just hide the drawings and all that, on the 4-hour time frame, back on this thing again, I know that there's a low and a high, and then what I did was I put in drawings, and I had a Fibonacci from this low to this high, and that showed me that there was a 236 Fibonacci retracement point. Just remove that one, in fact, for now. That showed me where there's a 236 Fibonacci retracement point, etc. Nope, the wrong one I removed. Excuse me. It showed me that there's a 236 Fibonacci retracement point just in here, and that's a key area of inflection. We also knew that down here at the lows we're retesting that yellow diagonal line. We know that we've come up here and we can challenge, if we were to move past this, a period where we had a prior high on the charts that may or may not have horizontal support and resistance. Looking to the left, I can see we wicked down to this area, and we wicked down here as well, and that there is a degree of horizontal support and resistance just in that line as well. So just kind of like making this more obvious, kind of like going along this sort of a way. There is a degree of that already, and going above this zone would be good. So can we target this area? Can we target this area? So we're looking to try and take a trade, and we want to know if we can target this area, right? So this is what we're looking for, to target this area. There's our arrow. There's our arrow going into this area, right? So is this going to be bullseye for us or not? That's what we're trying to set up for. We've got a broader term picture stuff, and we know that we're going to look at smaller term picture stuff to be able to see if we can get up to this area, which is between a couple of our other highs and lows. And then we kind of then start to zoom on in a wee bit. I would love that, right, to the 15-minute time frame. I appreciate you dropping a super chat there, Aaron. I'll get around to talking about that just as soon as I'm finished making this section. This section is an education section which may or may not be useful to everybody, but I believe may be useful to one specific person, and that's good enough for me because that person was very clear and articulating what would be helpful for them, I think, and I'm trying to address that in this video. It's an education video. It's quite hard for me to know exactly how to define what the title of this education video would be when I come around to actually publishing it. I don't know what I'll call it, but I'm going to just crack on for now if you don't mind, and we'll get on with it. This is an overall point. This is a lesson to be had here, and I'm I'm not finished it, not near finished it yet. Right, and so we're down on the lower term timeframes, and we've established a few things so far, and we can see that in a bit better detail now here on the chart, having zoomed in. There's that circle around the price action that we were talking about, like, you know, how are we going to look at that area? Here that is without the circle on it, that's no longer distracting our eyes. Here's this white line down here. I'll just use this arrow as my sort of wand. Here's this white line down here that we can see, right? This white line, that's the 236 Fibonacci retracement point we talked about. So we've got an idea of some potential areas in the chart. We drew this in. There might be tradable things around this zone. Here, down here, there's the 382, and there's the potential of coming in for support in around this area if we were to go past it, etc., etc. And we're trying to establish, could we have got an area to take profit at? Damn, I wish I'd prefaced this episode, this little chunk here, by saying during the bit where I was actually hit the record button that what we're going to be analysing is whether or not there'd be profit taking happening in here on at this particular price point at $15, right? In the live show, if you watch this as part of the live show, you'll see that chat just beforehand. Anyway, so now we're trying to see, could the prices come up towards this zone? And there's a 618 golden pocket. There's confluence in there. It's $15 round number. We look over to the left. We see that's where our prior high is. So our prior high is there. There's one reason why the prices might turn around. There's a golden pocket Fibonacci retracement zone in there. That's two reasons why it might turn around. And the number itself is 15. It's round number, $15, right? Bang on. That's another reason why it might turn around in and of itself. How high did it get exactly at that price point? $15.01. So it actually wanted to make it up there, and then it retraced back down the way to put in what is now ultimately a doji candle, having come all the way back down to where the 50% area is. At this stage, you know, for example, you can look at the charts and you could say, well, if this was the trade you wanted to take, right? So running up to this, and just even as I was making this video, this was happening and being put in there, you'd be thinking, well, am I going to try and take a short from this area? Beforehand, it would have looked like this. It would have looked like this, maybe. Like give me, where's the thingy job here? Right, sound. So it would have looked like this. Shit, stop. Ah, well, that didn't work. Would have looked. Ah, damn it. See, if I edited this video, then I'd be able to edit all that out, but I'm not going to edit the video because I don't actually have time for that. So, fuck it, right? So that didn't work. Maybe I'll have to edit that out. Anyway, it would have looked like you would have had this candle come up with this area, and you would have thought, is there an opportunity for me to take like a quick short to try and make some money? I think that if the prices were to drop down, that they would maybe find support at this next Fibonacci level, the 50% area at 1483. Maybe I could find a short somewhere in here between $15 and $15.03. Really tight little area. Maybe I could do that, and I would aim to take profit in around about here. And back then, all you'd have had was a candle that was coming up towards that area. You wouldn't have known that this was here. So what you would have first established is, well, if this is a long running up the way, where are people going to be taking their longs? And could there be enough fuel in that long taken for people to actually take some shorts as well, for it to go down the way and then cash profit in on that, to then close those shorts and continue being long again, or to close those shorts and to take profit on them, like we've just kind of seen with that little bit of bounce, and then maybe even then short it again, depending when some other fish decides what they're going to do, you know, like whenever they've got their strategy. So the prices were coming up towards us. We had three reasons why that would be turning around. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, it's dark in this room. I've just come from a bright room where I knew where everything was happening with the price action in the past, and I've now gone into the dark room of the future, and my eyes are adjusting. I've got a vague outline of the potential of a coffee table over there at that 618 zone. I've got the vague outline of perhaps the cat sleeping on the ground next to the feet of the coffee table where our prior high was. I've also got a rough general idea of that's where I took off my shoes last night at the round number of 15, and the light is kind of coming towards you. You're kind of thinking, if I go this direction, this is the way to go in this dark room. I do not have perfect clarity. I will not have perfect clarity. There's still a very good chance that I will end up walking into the wall because, you know, because it's dark in here, but at the same time I figured out which way to go, and I feel a little bit like I could do something here. So then what you do is then you're thinking in that region where, like, so you're long on this. Maybe you'll take profit. You're looking to take a trade. You're going to go short in this. Maybe you'll take profit in this region. Maybe you'll take it further, etc. And then you can maybe look to yourself and say, where could we go next then? Well, then let's this scenario and draw it a bit more. Another way of doing it is Fibonacci retracement. Now, this is a way of doing it. There's lots of different ways of doing this thing. You could be looking to retracements to moving averages. You could be doing this purely based off of the price action alone, just purely trying to choose your levels and going with one thing or another. You could be doing it with looking at things like oscillators and saying, well, hey, there's a common chance that things will turn around at these areas where the backgrounds have got horizontal lines colored in on them. Or hey, the RSI, there's a common chance that this thing will turn around at the bullish control zone as it kind of looks like. Although when you make it full screen, yeah, sure, there's this little bit of black between where the line was and whatnot. But when you're looking at it like here, like bang, it could turn around there. There's so many reasons, you know. So I had 3 to begin with. There's reason number 4. There's reason number 5, for example. Here's this one, right? Is this here? No, I wouldn't say there's necessarily a reason on that particular indicator at that time. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a reason at that particular time on that indicator. But certainly in the RSI and the DMI, there's that enough of a reason if you wanted to, purely based on that. And that's 5 reasons why you could have taken a short in there, right? So now you've got enough reasons. You know your shoes, you know the cat, you know the coffee table, and now you also just remembered that that's where you tripped up last time, so you have to be extra careful. And you also remembered that that's where you took off your socks after you took off your shoes as well. Sugar, right? There's extra stuff. You've got 5 reasons to know something about this thing. And then you can go in here and you can say, well, look, here's the 236 down here. I'll target this 236 retracement on this one if it comes down the way. That means I'd be taking profit at 1481. Maybe you're targeting a 382 and you're looking a bit further. But I mean, maybe this is over the period of an hour you're taking this trade rather than 15 minutes or 5-minute scalp, and you're aiming down to 1468. Maybe you're looking for a golden pocket retrace and saying maybe things could go down to 1446, and you're going to make your own mind up at that point about how you're managing your trade, and then you're going to be more successful by managing risk. You already got into a trade up here and it's profitable. You come down to here and you think to yourself, well, do I take profit or do I stop, or etc. You can manage your risk by putting in a stop loss, something like that. Just here, say you put in a stop loss at 1485 on your short, you'd have made profit. You'd made profit. Your trade on this thing would be standing in a profit of 1%. You're currently in a profit of, it would be in a profit of 2%. So you know you could guarantee yourself that you're not losing money, etc. So on and so forth. And at that point, then when you're thinking along those lines, then you'll feel like you've transitioned from a guy who's looking at the charts and all he tunes into when he first looks at the charts and all he sees is something that looks maybe like something that looks like this, unintelligible, or something that looks like this, like I don't know. I don't know. This is just so much data over so much time, or something that looks like this down here in the 1 minute time frame, where of course the charts themselves can all look similar, but you're talking about chaos and how can I profit in this chaos? And Rocky seems like he's confident that he can get in at chaos down here and get out at chaos up here, and knows that there's a risk that you could maybe need to take profit at chaos in here, and I can't see it and I can't figure it out, but you fucking can, buddy, and I swear to goodness you will do it, even if you're only looking at horizontal support and resistance here in the 1 minute time frame, trying to identify why maybe you might get out at somewhere. Where would you be looking to? Where would you be looking to across this? I mean, there's the major pivot points in the market, but if you're looking right here where the prices are right now, we can identify a few things. There's like this area, this area, this area, this area, this area as well, and then where we are roughly now as with regards to whether or not that could be support and resistance. This little inflection that we had when the prices bounced back up to it, you know, like how much of this is that enough or not? I don't necessarily know, but you can see in here that in many ways it is, and that should. Haven't seen that video, man. If you can reply to me specifically with whether or not this helped, you understand, and to get it a little bit more, and it doesn't have to be a yes, right? It doesn't have to be. It can be no. honestly, the first 10 seconds were fine, and then when you said this, I kind of lost track. That's fine. I'll make another attempt at it again in the future. We're back around to 3 o'clock. It's the top of the hour. Thanks everybody for appreciating me. That's a little clip that I'm putting out there. And of course, back to the live stream. So thanks so much. Got one coming in. Rocky, superb job, mate. You do a glorious TA today. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. That's fantastic. Scrolling back up here, Aaron said, I would love to hear your analysis on ZM, Zoom Video Communications. In any case, you and your brother are absolute treasure. Much respect. Keep pushing. Thanks so much, Aaron. That's really appreciated. ZM, Zoom, 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 Zoom. All right. Not going to start the analysis here in the 1 minute time frame. I very rarely look at the 1 minute time frame. There's very little point in it. Over here in the 5 minute time frame, you can see that while we still have got, when we have got candles, we've got gaps absolutely everywhere. This thing's not massively liquid, traded by people all the time. It's obviously one of the least good looking 5 minute charts of the charts that we've looked at so far today. 15 minute time frame, eventually we're starting to get rid of some of those gaps, you know, linking candles together, but we're still experiencing a lack of liquidity. I think it's about this point now that we should probably acknowledge to ourselves that there'll be some potential for volatility that'll screw you over in a market where there's not any sort of buying pressure coming along with you. You think, yeah, let's do this. Then actually sometimes you can Leroy Jenkins it here a bit, as you don't really know when the rest of the market's coming in. It's not all the time, that's for sure. Anyway, that's where we have this one, 50-minute time frame, big pullback down to fill in this gap. Doesn't strike me as much as a surprise that happened, to be perfectly frank with you. Overall, here as well we have the my indicator. On the 50-minute time frame, it shows you that the grey area in the background was lit up, and the prices have come back down. In fact, though, let me see here. The next candle was that one, so that obviously happened straight away. But is it fair to say that it was on another time frame at all? Nope. So that's just it happening at a gap. If ever you had a guarantee though of a gap getting filled, I mean, probably that's probably going to be one of them. Anyway, so where are we standing here with this one? Well, this has already been filled in as well. So forget that for now on that front. That's fine. We're all good on that front. 4 hour time frame. Thanks whoever it was that just put in that donation. I'll scroll down on the chat thing in a minute and check out what you said, and also check in on my stream labels thing to make sure that I've got stuff coming in. I think I turned the volume down on my donations by accident, but not my super chats or something like that. Not really sure over here. Right, sound cool. So downward price action, lower low just there, lower low there, convergent there, convergent there. Right, sound. Wait a minute. Actually, hold on a second. Not convergent there. Sweet. Bullish divergence on the MACD. In fact, as well, it's probably worth pointing that out, that's the scenario that we're on in the MACD. So that's interesting. That's bullish divergence on those previous lows up to here. Bullish divergence continuing on the way. The really ripe for a turnaround overall. This happening at this prior gap as well. Is that filled in that gap? No, I mean it's all in that liquidity zone of that thing. This moving up. This M pattern that's happened here, right, cool, okay, so right, I mean we could just do it like this as well, since I've just done all that kind of smatter talk. Let's just do it like this. Hi friends, I'm Rocky. Zoom. This is Zoom chart, ZM, Zoom Video Communications. We're looking at a price chart here on the 4 hour time frame. This is traded, not massively liquidly this stock here, but we're seeing a few things that are worth pointing out, and it's a pretty good one. It's pretty well traded, and there's opportunity here. First thing that's worth pointing out is the diminishing volume that's been occurring throughout this overall correction that's happened in the markets, following on from what has obviously been a really nice big rise up the way. We all know about Zoom over the last year. One of the massive success stories of 2020, if you like, really lucked into that thing. Well, now of course we've had a pullback, which is good to see in a sense. With that return to work thing, will it drop off in terms of how much people want to use it, etc. It's come back down to where we are right now at a sort of key pivot point in the market. It kind of really messed that line up, messed that one up too. So this is when you go Alt H, and that's what I wanted to do. And you can see that we've more or less kind of been traversing inside this area, having put in this low over here, which was a nice bottoming formation low. Now we want to be looking at these lows, and when we look at these lows, we're going to look at the RSI down below, and we're going to ask the question, no, actually no, scrap that, we'll look at the MACD down below, right? We're going to look at the MACD down below, and we're going to ask a question, while we have lows down here in price action, do we also have, you know, lower lows on the MACD down below? That's what we're going to ask that question, okay? And we're going to ask the question as well with regards to this most recent pullback here, and there's this trend. Do we also have lower lows on the MACD? And at this point, when we have those two, so let's go check in with both of those just now and see how we're getting on with the with the MACD. And as you can see here, we're not getting that. We're not getting lower lows. We were looking for lower lows. Remember, we were looking for lower lows on this thing. And actually what we're seeing is lows which are not lower and are higher lows. That's what we're seeing on this thing. And that's happening in and around about here. So that's a good positive sign. And we've also had this big inflection at around a point where we previously had a gap on the charts as well. So just in here was that gap. We've also got a good degree of resistance, support and resistance in around this region, and we've come back down to that region just there now again. Okay, good. Okay, so let's then zoom in and look at the price action itself. We obviously started off here, by the way, looking at volume. Then we looked at oscillators. Now we're looking at price action, and let's be fair, price action is king anyway. So here we have this. Let's just measure out the price action. This is using the Fibonacci tool, coming in from the low that was down there at 7th of May up to the high that we had most recently, and acknowledging that we have gone past the 236. Clearly we did a long time ago. That's at $370. Then we went past the 382. Clearly we did as well some time ago now, and that was at $349. Then we came into this line just here at $333.33 or so. Lovely number, like, you know, really, isn't it? You got to think there'd be plenty of people in the world who are like 333, that's where I want to be. And then and it was also where the 50% Fibonacci retracement line is, and it's right in it where this support and resistance is. Now, it didn't make it quite as far as that support and resistance, but it did make it to the 50% area. And what did Dow say? Well, we know that Dow said, well, yeah, of course they do, but he actually said 50%. So anyway, they often retrace 50%, and that would be, of course, coming into this exact price point. So there's a chance here that we're in recovery mode here. So there's a chance that this could be working for us. Have we then, in terms of this, just the Fibonacci again, taken out the highs to the, taken out the 236? Have we done enough here, just here in this region? So let's pop this in, try and get it more or less accurate, and see that, wow, the 236 is right where the 382 is of our previous one. That happens frequently with Fibonacci retracement analysis. The 618 is and the 50% are right between where the 236 is as well. So we can actually get this recovery one off the board here and go back to what we were looking at just beforehand, because it's totally sufficient. If we take out the 382, we're taking out that 236. We'd be aiming towards the 236 to retest that. That's where that 618 is. That gives you extremely low risk ability to buy and trade in this region, and it will still be leaving you in a position where you've got 2 touches towards the down touches, or 3 touches towards the top side, and potentially being put in some sort of wedge thing. But that wouldn't be the pattern that I would be looking to right here, right now in the here. M is kind of like the sort of somewhat sort of amateur type name, or new or modern name, or whatever you want to call it. Name, it's probably more better accurate to say modern name for an Adam and Eve type pattern, right? But there's also has some rules about it with the M. Here we have the fact that there's this low. This one here is obviously lower than their sort of like Adam and Eve type question, and where we breaking down here. So this is the confluence I'm trying to point out for us overall. It's an M pattern. It's what I would say is M. I hate having used the word amateur or any of that sort of stuff to describe it, because it's an M. But as well, people used to just talk about Adam and Eve's, right? Over there. Anyway, and have we done that yet? And here you got your neckline, and it's in this zone of the M, right? Now, I'm not going to say that it's right where that where the low was before. It isn't. It's more or less going to be where the peaks of the M are. I have now drawn over that so much that it's going to be more like where these parts of the M are, right? Rather than that in terms of your breakout, and we haven't got that yet. What does that mean? Well, it means that if we're looking at this with the potential for it to be positive, that we can manage our risk using that M pattern, no less, manage our risk by saying that we don't want to be in trades that are below that there. So what you would do is then you finally get to the point where you've conducted technical analysis and you said to yourself, how are you going to trade this thing? It depends on then where therefore you're looking for your profits. If you were looking to simply trade this for the low risk opportunity that's there, then you wouldn't carry this down here for a 1-to-1 risk to reward, because look, that ends you up going down to the 618 golden pocket, and that's the next most natural place to predict that it would go anyway in terms of Fibonacci. So you'd have to manage your risk a bit better. What if you then just said to yourself, well, hey, what if we take out this line that we've been talking about so much? What if we take out this line in here and just had this as being it? Where would we get? 2-to-1 risk to reward on that one. There you go. There's how you would start to then put in together that trade, and that would have already have happened at this point. So it's not easy to, like, you know, in terms of you'd have got into it and you'd have already had that. So that's where we are now with this one. And when people ask me to take a look at stock, quite often they're looking for that, but of course timing wise it doesn't work out that it's necessarily like you hit the button right here right now, let's do it together. And as well then, how does that feed back to the bigger picture one? I don't know. In some senses it's the last couple of minutes a waste of time talking about the movements here between this zone or not. I'm not so sure. It's certainly got a lot to be said about trading. If this thing did operate and turn into a wedge, then you'd be looking for the range of the high down to that low to express towards the top side, and that is a range of from $405 down to $330, so $35. So you're talking a $70 range there on this one. So if there was then to be a downward sloping line that was in around about that 236, which is where it probably would be, you'd be looking at 370 and adding 370 onto and adding 70 onto 370, and that would take you up to 440, and that's where would be your next target would be coming in at as well. So if I were to go ahead and do the rest of the analysis, which is like going to be, you just have to take my experience word for it here, you'd be looking up to 440 as your next one, right? And that is what we're going on here, and it's all based on how does this pan out. So while this isn't necessarily useful for the guy that's aiming for 440 in terms of what they think is about things, it actually is, because this is a description of what you need to start having to have happened for you to ever get to that point. And while the 400 isn't necessarily useful for the guy that's trading it in this meantime, it most certainly is, because it's the context of what enables you to be able to think towards that way in the top side overall. You can reconcile these things together and come up with ways of trading yourself. If you're asking about whether or not I'm bullish or bearish on this thing, I'm bullish on it in the sense that from a big broad term perspective, like going up towards the weekly time frame and just hiding all the drawings so you can see this, we've had a really nice big rise up on this thing ever since it existed. But also in terms of the massive broad term story, from its all-time lows up to its all-time highs, the 236 is also coming in here at where? $370 fucking dollars. That's right. I didn't know it would be that. I didn't know that at $370 would be the overall massive pivot on the market from its all-time low to the all-time high Fibonacci retracement. I didn't know that before I did that. But look, because this is what good technical analysis adds up to. That's how you do it. That's what we're doing here. That's why people subscribe. That's why you should hit like. That's why you should come back next time. That's why I'll see you again. That's why people know me as Rocky Outcrop, perhaps the very best technical analyst on YouTube. Thanks very much. It's nice to make your acquaintance. I'll see you again soon. There we have it. Right, sound. So that was some fucking hot shit. Moving on. Rocky Superb. Oh, I saw that one earlier on. This is seriously grade A content. Rocky Aircrop, thanks so much. Yeah, I know. It's really fucking awesome, isn't it? Prices stabilizing, says Jewel Maxwell. Jumping back over to what he's probably talking about with regards to then, I guess, GME. Let's take a quick look here. 2-hour time frame. Why did I choose the 2-hour time frame there instead of one of the other ones? I don't know. It includes basically everything from yesterday, and we've not even closed one of these out yet. So there's that. And yep, good description. Prices stabilizing, seems to have been doing that for the last day or two in here. AMC as well. Funnily enough, they went up to, they did all those things. That's kind of just more, oh wow, look at that as well. They did that. They've done, this is kind of just been going along as we said it was. Great, nice one. No skin off our nose to have taken a look around at the rest of the markets. And on that note, by the way, as we hit 3:15, a quick reminder to people, I will be tuning out in 15 minutes. I know, shock horror. I will be tuning out in 15 minutes. If you want me to take a look at something and you're not going to put in a super chat or a donation, well, you know, not going to happen. I will be tuning out in 15 minutes. Just going to make that very clear for everybody. Don't say I didn't tell you. And moving on here as well to do the next part of the show. Let's just keep the flow going because I've got to satisfy my need to help the cryptocurrency markets out there and stop being such full of such morons trading things badly, and educate people and be a decent guy. So stick with me while I do some of that. Cool, excellent. By the way, that's slightly satirical, right? So just be aware. Right, Hi friends, Rocky Outcrop back once again for more technical analysis. Cryptocurrency markets, what are they up to? I personally don't know, not looked at them yet myself today, but we're going to do this. We're going to look together, right? See what we see together. See if you see something before I see something, see something together. Let's look together. Let's look together. And we're back in the charts, and here is the Bitcoin USDT charts. We're up here kicking around 47,900 has been the average over the last wee while. 47,834 is where we're at just now. Oh, that's something that we identified previously as having been perhaps a support zone that broke down past and now is potentially resistance. Did you spot that before I spotted it? Maybe I spotted that before you did. Zooming on out, we're outside the wedge. Did you spot that before I spotted it? I don't know. Let's see. Let's keep the game going. Here we have it. Highs, lows, blah, blah, blah. What about our most recent low coming in here? No hidden bullish divergence on there. I spotted it. Did you spot it before I spotted it? I don't know. There's no hidden bullish divergence. No hidden bullish divergence. So this is a low which is higher than the previous macro lows, and what we're seeing is that this low has come in and it's not been lower than them, etc. on the oscillators they're looking at there, not the put call one at the bottom, to be honest with you. But that's it. So there's no hidden bullish divergence. Well done if you spotted that before I did. Is there bullish divergence? Let's take a look at that. Zooming on in here. Where's our most recent trend here? Well, if we're looking for bullish divergence, then we can't be looking during uptrend, which is what that is. We'd have to be looking during a downtrend, which is what exclusively this part of price action is. So zooming on in to see if it's in there, and zooming it in and talking very slowly to give you the maximum amount of chances to get the answer to this one. I mean, to be fair, I mean, when I asked the question, had I already spotted it? I don't know. But anyway, yes, boom, it's there. Ha! If you didn't spot it, you're too fucking slow. There's the downs on this one. Here's the bullish divergence. So is this good enough? Is this good enough for where we are, having come up towards where our resistance point is? And that is easy enough to manage risk on this one if you wanted to try and catch the rising ship on it. Where would you be looking to see if things got resisted at? Well, maybe perhaps as a retest of that wedge. Maybe this is a retest of a breakout. What are you talking about, Rocky? A retest of a breakout? Why would you think like that? Why would you think like that? Why would you think like that? Well, I mean, what if this was a downward market? What if this was going towards the downside and this was a downward sloping wedge here, and everyone was like, yes, great, brilliant, this could be bullish for us, we might get a breakout here. And then what if you broke out towards the top side, and then what would you be saying? We'll be saying, well, maybe you'll come back in for a retest of this thing and then just simply keep on going up the way. Well, tell you what, if they did a retest of this thing and failed and took out its prior lows in the face of that bullish divergence, what are you going to get? Well, bullish divergence, by virtue of the fact that it pushes the RSI and everything else up higher, just makes it easier to get convergence in your next thrust down the way. Failure to take out and consolidate above the neutral line on this one might be your first canary in the key mine, the fucking word phrase for that one. Who knows? Here we are in the 4-hour time frame, just quickly, briefly looking at. So that's where we are at Bitcoin. Do we get to keep on going or not? I don't know. Seeing the trading view just dancing around there, making my things go funny, it probably is worth pointing out that that's one touch on the downside, that's two touches on the downside, that's three touches on the downside right there. If I were to try and make this be more accommodating, would it be possible for me to do it in any sort of a way? Well, if I were to draw this back the way and cut through those bodies over there, I'd have one touches, two touches, three touches, four touches here, and this would be simply a parallel channel with some anomalous price action as we push down a little bit lower. That's essentially going to encapsulate the debate right now between whether or not you're going to be bullish or you're bearish on this thing. And if you are looking towards further continuation towards the top side, bear in mind that of course we've had a very heavy period of resistance of what you want to call that, bearish divergence on the go just there. Look out for things. We're obviously at a point when things could change around. And how long into this section are we? Because I don't want this to drag on all day. About 4 minutes or so. Another 4 minutes of cryptocurrency analysis is all right. Let's do a game of did you spot it or did I spot it before? All right, let's do another quick game of it. Right here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. So here's a pattern here. Do we have hidden bullish divergence or not? Do we? Did you spot that one? First off, did you spot that one going over to the right? Oh, is that lower? It's so hard to tell, isn't it? Let's just really split hairs on this one just to try and get us into tell here. Going down to that low. Oh my god, it's just, is it actually lower? Is it actually lower? Let's stretch it out. Let's stretch it out. Oh my god, is it lower? Dum dum, drum roll please. please. Drum roll. Hey, Mr. Drumroll provider, we're looking for drum rolls in this region. Could you provide us with some over here? Brrr, brrr, brrr. Yeah. Okay, if that was smoother, it might have been funny, but there you have it. And brrr, heading bullish divergence on that low. Is it very obvious? No, it's not. Have we got enough to be going on with in that sense? I'd say no, but you never know. If we take out those highs at 3,365, then we would. I'd be aiming up there to be taking profit. Right now, though, there's definitely more to be looked at. Let's go down to the lower term time frame. See the super chat that came in. Hi, Rocky. Could you briefly summarize UK tax for private traders at some point, please? Yes, summary for UK traders at some point is stop trading, just use spread betting until such times as you know what you're doing and you're making enough money. There's no point in learning to trade and that, whereas if you're just buying and hodling a stock or a cryptocurrency or whatever, then that's slightly different and you might not be able to do that. But if you want to know tax in the UK and you don't know about spread betting, then you should probably consider buying and selling stocks on a different platform. Because of course that is tax free. Here we have a little wedge here. Could we be breaking outside of it, or will we rescind back inside of it? I don't know. That's going to be your bullish case scenario. A quick round of have you spotted it or did I spot it first? Bollocks here on the go. Chainlink USDT. Have you spotted it or did I spot it? We're above $25. Did you spot that or did I spot that first? I spotted that we're above $25. Here's this. When did we draw this thing on again? By the way, we drew it on back when the prices were in here. That's right, when they were actually above this neutral lines when we drew this one on. And what? Oh my God, the prices came right down to this area. Holy smokes. And then they found a bounce. There we go. Did you spot it or did I spot it? Who spotted that first? Bringing up this thing. Has this stream broken again as my phone starts to buzz? Hope not. Just checking in. This is mighty stressful. Error. Not receiving enough video. It's okay. I'm recording locally. That'll be all right. So last minute then of this one. Let's see. Oh, did you spot it or did I spot it? I just spotted it. There's a cross in the DMI. Who spotted that first? It's a positive cross right there at the low. The ADX is still above 25. Did you spot it or did I spot it? I spotted that one maybe first. Last look then, let's take a look at Tezos, I suppose, for a split second and see if there's a one round of did you spot it or did I spot it first on the go here, and then I'm going to hit the end record button on this thing. Did you spot it or did I spot it? What are we looking for first in these ones? Did you spot it? Did I spot it? Who wins? Who spotted it first? Who spotted it? Who spotted it first? Who spotted it first? Hidden bullish divergence on these MACD. Who spotted it first? Who spotted it first? Did you spot it first? Did I spot it first? I don't know. Let's draw in a Fibonacci retracement tool from this lows up to those prior highs. And we come down here past the 618 and we're up here. We're above the 382. Who spotted the price? Who spotted that the 236 is bang on at $5 round number? Round number, everybody. Round number. Who spotted it first? Who spotted it first in there? Blue was a shill. What's he selling? What's he selling? I don't understand. The word shill. Let's just look up the word shill. Let me just see the word shill over here. Let me just get up again. This is this thing here. Let me just quickly check what the word shill means. Shill. Let me just check and see what it means. I think shill, an accomplice or confidence trickster or swindler who poses as a genuine customer to entice or encourage others. That's that one. Act or work as a shill. That's that one. So okay, so people use it. So shill. So what does shilling? Why do people say what does it mean? What does it mean to shill something? What does it mean to shill something? To shill. To be an accomplice, conference trickster. Right. Shill something. So, conference tricksters, they try and swindle people or whatever. So how would talking negatively? I used to be a shill in the Reno gambling club. Your husband in the crowd could shill for you. Shill, act or work as a shill. Could shill for you. To work as a shill. So what is a shill? What does it mean to work as a shill? What is it to work as a shill? What is it to work as a shill? What is it to work as a shill? In most cases, shills refers to someone who purposely gives onlookers, participants, or marks the impression of an working. Shills may be employed by salespeople in professional marketing campaigns. Right, so enthusiastic customer of the seller. Yeah, enthusiastic customer of the seller. Yeah, look, entire shill using community, get your words right. The rest of the world uses it appropriately. So if you are a shill in cryptocurrency, what it means is that you're taking a shit coin that's worth nothing and making people buy into it when it isn't valued that highly. Stop using the words moronic. Everybody, sorry Jimmy, that's me speaking to. And if any of you out there are going to wet your pants about something, be aware that this was a conversation that happened between me and the person who I probably love more than anyone else in in the world, right? Okay, probably take all of you together, add you all up, and it would come up to a pile which is just ever so slightly shy of how much I love that guy. Okay, not as much, and I still said it anyway. So just beware. That's what my opinion is on it. Stop saying shit like that in front of me. I fucking hate it. Okay, cool, nice one. 26 minutes past the hour. We've got about 4 minutes left. How are we doing in here? Lol. I love that he's looking up to the definition of shill because I felt it's grammatically been used wrong for so long. That's right, Squeep Squeepington. That is correct. Everybody is a fucking fanny that uses the word shill. It is incorrect. Yep, that's right. Fine. I guess I'll watch you drinking to get my Kern Bros fix. Says Katie Babes. Hopefully we'll do that soon. That'd be quite cool. That's a nice one. Okay, thanks, says B. Quimby. Quimby, eh? Is that a reference? Is that a reference? B. Quimby. Is it a reference? Wait, hold on. Quimby TV show. Is it a reference? What was that? What was that TV show with the guy who was a coroner? Wait a minute. Right. Coroner, detective, TV show. Alright. Language isn't static. Aye, but am I going to stand there and have morons try and define what language is? Sorry, Katie, language isn't static. But anyone who thinks that they can change what shill means into some sort of fucking moron, don't think so. So while language doesn't stand still, I don't stand for shit language. It's stupid. Like, people being incredibly thick in front of me is one of the most off-putting things in the world. Want me to stop doing YouTube? Just be stupid in front of me for long enough. Where the fuck is that thing about the coroner back in the day, right? Was he not called Quimby? No, it's Mayor Quimby. Quimby was the guy in Simpsons. What am I even thinking of? There was a TV show about a coroner, right? And he would drive around in a car and it would say coroner on the side of it. Was the TV show called The Coroner? And was there somebody in there who was called Quimby? Don't grow your channel to hundreds of thousands of people looking to become independent, self-reliant traders by looking up classic TV shows about a coroner who drove like a Reliant Robin or whatever. But is there anything about the word Quimby in here at all? Not Quimby. No, I was completely wrong. I take it back. I was completely and absolutely wrong. Quincy! Boom! Quincy! Thanks so much. Let me just scratch this itch. Thank you so much. I knew I could rely on you. B4 Joe M. Derry and Dan Ernst. Thank you. I knew I could rely on yous. Quincy. ME. There we have it. Medical Examiner. 1976. 7 seasons. Great stuff. What did it look? There he is. There's his face there. There's his face there. Corey Bing Bong. Great, by the way. Thanks so much. Oh, .ta. I'll not go before doing .ta. Thanks for asking that. I'll not go before doing .ta. Anyway, anyone who watched that show knows that Quincy didn't look like that. Yes. It wasn't as good as Columbo. Right. So, dot. Yes, dot. Fantastic. We wanted to do some dot technical analysis for a while. Keep forgetting. It's been requested in numerous different arenas. Let's do it. Let's record it. Let's record it for fun. I've got no idea what the chart's going to look like. Let's just put my background back on. It still hasn't loaded up. Background. Okay, computer's not working. Background. Nope. There's the dot chart up behind me. Good stuff. Right. So where's my thing gone for changing the background? Oh, I've quit it. Have I ever crashed it or something? No, it doesn't matter. Right. Background. I'll do it manually. Brilliant. Right. And will it work if it still broken? Sound. Doesn't matter. I can just do it manually. Teeny weeny polka dot. No, fuck this. I'm not singing a song like that. Friends, countrymen, dot-ticians out there, let's take a look at USDT, dot the cryptocurrency. You know that cryptocurrency that's called dot? We're going to do technical analysis on Polkadot right here, right now. It's going to be great. I've not looked at the charts today. I want to look at what's happening. It's been a couple of weeks since I've looked at them. Look at cryptocurrency charts all day, every day though, so I'm sure there'll be something here recognizable, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks so much to the people who've asked me to do this. I'm going to do that right now. Thanks for joining me. By the way, did I say my name's Rocky Outcrop? That's my name, by the way. Don't wear it out. Ha ha ha. Join me again for a live show. In fact, do wear it out. Make sure you wear it out. In fact, all you should do is all day, every day, wear out my name. Tell it to everybody. Make sure everybody knows it because it's the best technical analysis in the world. Here we have the dot charts, right? Thanks so much for joining me. Going to try and make this at least somewhat like you could listen along without necessarily having to watch along as well, because this was asked for by a few people, one of which is a landscape gardener. And can you imagine what it'd be like to be going around on a lawnmower, unable to look at the charts, trying to listen for what could be happening in the world of Polkadot? Well, if you were to have drawn on a parallel channel around the price action that's occurred since the 23rd of August 2021 down to the lows on the 26th of August, so for that 3-day period, then you would be looking at it and saying, well, hey, we came up and tested the top end of it a few times when the prices hit $25 per Polkadot on the 27th of August. Once, twice, 3 times, wait a minute, today's the 27th of August. Earlier on today, spent a few hours kicking about there, and then we pushed on outside of that area, perhaps looking like we could maybe be going for a breakout of a parallel channel. And those sorts of things don't really have measured moves, to be honest with you, in terms of the textbook definition. Instead, it's more about a directional thing for the short to medium term at the very least. And so we've got that directional movement. So things are bullish then, therefore, on this one. Let's put this 1 hour bullish look into the context of surroundings and bring up some oscillators and see that if this was just looking at it from a short-term trend, from the lows at 6 p.m. Universal Time yesterday, August 26th, up to the highs that we've had just now. If that was a trend, it won't be bearishly divergent. That's cool. We've also just got a cross on the DMI, which is great to have. The DMI is an indicator. It's got 3 lines on it, and when 2 of them cross over each other, you get a bullish or a bearish signal. So we just had the bullish signal between those 2, and the third line is like a qualifier of strength of trend. Is quite high, so we've got a bit of momentum there as well, which is good to see. And then with the MACD, well, yes, with the MACD, we're doing okay. We're not bearishly divergent, and we're also in their challenging previous highs. Now, structurally as well, the RSI up above has moved into the bullish control zone, which means it's taken out all of the highs on the RSI since that parallel channel would have started on DOT back on the 23rd of August. So it's taken out all of those highs. So there's some more context. So things look bullish, right? They look good. Now, of course, we could retest this breakout area. Absolutely could. In which case, $25, the round number edition, might be what to be buying in at. If we were to get some of that, of course, as well, this is kind of somewhat already happened. Let's put this into the context of the time frames around it, jumping up towards the 4-hour time frame and thinking about how then the RSI as well is above that neutral line part. It's also moved up a bit as well into that bullisher stance, more bullish, right? Whatever, right? That's good to have seen. We didn't actually have bullish divergence leading into this in terms of the lows on the RSI, but we did on the MACD on the last 2 lows before rising up the way, and that's good to see because I put a little bit more emphasis on the MACD's divergence, just a little in stocks than stocks. And in crypto, typically I would put more emphasis just a little on the RSI's MACD, but obviously I'm a confused person with that approach, right? So it's like I got to wonder with us in terms of what circumstances in this market here where we've had this movement downwards in price and we are looking to try and have a trend turnaround change point here. It would be nice to see this happen for us to get it. Now, this leaves us in a position where we're doing a few things though, where it's quite obvious as well. If I just get rid of those parallel channel type lines off the chart so you don't be distracted by them, we can also analyze the fact that we're here and we haven't really fully broken the horizontal structure of the previous high, which was a lower high on the way down here. So if you were wanting to look at things like, you'll see people that love to do this sort of thing. There's a triangle there. There's another triangle just there, for example, etc., that led to this point. So we had a triangle there, got a measured move, had a triangle here, got a measured move of it, and then some. Then we had a recovery. So then and then flag, okay, and then we went on down and did a full move overall all the way down there on that one, which is and that's what happened. That's what led to us coming down here, and we're going to be paying keen attention then to the price point of 26 That is a bit shy of the right one. Let's call it 2650. 2650, we'll be paying a keen attention to 2650 for us being able to boost up above and continue the positiveness in the here and now. If we are to be retracing back down the way and we're going to be worried about it, then we'll start worrying below $25 for sure. The 382 coming in, the round number 382 coming in there at $25 exactly. The 236, by the way, is at $25.37. I said that if we were to go down and retest the breakout, it would be testing the 382 in there at $25 now. That's worth pointing out as well that we have confluence with that factor, of course. So with regards to playing this one, though, it's not the hitting of the retest that you want to buy it. It's the cancelling out of the 236 on your way back up. That's when you're buying back into that momentum, not on the test of the breakout, but of course on the confirmation that it's not just going to completely collapse. Right, so that's where we are in that. That brings us only so far, though. That only brings us to the point where we could maybe think about, where the prices could maybe somehow get into this sort of region in here. Now, there needs to be something a bit more longer term on this one, because that's what people will be needing, I'm sure about it. Failure to take out $27. Failure to take out $27 will result in the overall structure of this thing being a head and shoulders at the top, and I would look out for that. Failure to take that out. Exciting times happen at 30 at prices which are greater than 30. But, of course, we have to be very concerned at prices which are less than or equal to 27 on the broader picture of things, because if we do not take that price point out, having already done more or less enough, but especially if we go up to it, and then fall back down the way, then we're going to have to then keep a very keen eye out for $23, right? Because that's where your neckline is going to roughly be, and you're talking about a range of at least $7, which would take buy price point of around about the 1750 area. So 1750 being in around about here overall. So 1750, what does that look like for us? I've just messed this chart up so much. I'm going to show people who don't exchange, so I don't have to delete my drawings. I'm just going to keep on talking through this section when it should have loaded up instantly, but my internet isn't going fast enough to pretend like it's totally cool and I've not got a problem with it. And then I'll also then pretend that I didn't type in the wrong ticker, and of course delay the episode even more, like a silly bean, and type in the right one, .USDT, and go through that process all over again and choose up a different one, and we'll just do a 30 seconds or something like that of long-term analysis on this one on a different exchange. So I'll bring up KuCoin, an example over here as a different exchange. Now we're not so distracted, but all that stuff that we chatted about is still very much the way. $27 would be where you get that right-hand shoulder in if it were to suck. Taking $27 out, very, very good, but you get really positive above $30 because that's our previous highs. On and 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 on. Down the way, we actually came down, didn't take out the 50% line there in the Fibonacci's, came down here, didn't take out the 50% line, successfully again there, came on down the way here, and we've took out the 50% line and actually came up to the 618 golden pocket where you're typically going to find retracements at, pulled back down the way towards this area over here at 23, and then we've put in a bit of support so far at that perfect price point from the lows up to the highs that we've had. The 236 lines up perfectly with where the 50% price point is, giving you 1, 2, 3, 4. How many factors of confluence in here at that $23 price point from the broader perspective? If we do take out this area at $30, where could we aim up to next? Perhaps $35. Let's make a quick brief comparison between $35 as the 786 Fibonacci retracement point here and the 1618 Fibonacci retracement point. Lo and behold, if we just retrace against this downward trend that we've been in on the right hand side of the potential head and shoulders, you're looking up to $34, $34 to $36 as your potential profit taking zone, just simply looking between two different moving averages, or Fibonacci Fibonacci retracement tools. Boom. Right. So other things that can, of course, be of interest would be, for instance, just moving averages, right? Keeping things nice and easy, popping on a couple of moving averages. At some point in the next 5 years, these things will become visible on the chart. I'll just hide all of the drawings so you can see. In fact, there they are. In fact, oops. Hide all the drawings here. What have we got? That's the 5 negative cross between those two. That's short-termism. We had that. That's lagging. We've just taken those moving averages out, and the moving averages themselves didn't take out any of their own support and resistance. So that's a moot point in terms of what we're looking at, where we're looking at there. Looking at the 50 and the 200 simple moving average here on the 4-hour time frame now, which is the 50 is the blue dotted line, white dotted line is the 200 simple moving average. Below the 50 currently, 4-hour time frame, $26, $27 again, you know. So there's some confluence to say if we were to do a head and shoulder and go up there and hit off of that, we would also be putting in the right hand shoulder at the time that we're hitting off of the 50 simple, and then to come back down there to the neckline, we'd be going down to the 236 and the 50% Fibonacci. We've also got the moving averages in there. If you were to be aiming down the way, you'd be looking down towards 21 for a hopium shot at a catch on the 200 simple moving average on the 4-hour time frame, jumping up towards the 24-hour time frame, so that you can see that. However, if you were to be looking for where the 50 simple's coming in at on the 24-hour time frame, then that's looking down towards our friendly at the minute on that one. That would be down there at the 382. That's good enough. That's good enough. It's got to be good enough. If it's not good enough, then I don't know what's good enough for you. There's plenty of other things that I could have talked about, but I mean, if you need to know these things, then you should ask me. I have tons and tons and tons of stuff that could have been talked about here, but nobody wants. These are all these different indicators, and all these indicators down below, tons and tons and tons. Can you imagine? I probably could have kept that same pace up and kept talking for the next hour to hour and a half, and you would have known everything that you possibly could have known about it. After a certain point, it's going to be on you to start making your own decisions. If you want to have an environment that's better for you to make those decisions, then join my Discord server. It is a really amazing place. It honestly is. And talking to you guys last night in there to get feedback for how I can do better on what I'm doing to deliver the best quality content for all of you was a real honor and a humbling experience for me, and I want to thank everybody who was there for that. Shout out to Corey as being one of those people, the one that suggested this episode. Thanks so much to all of yous, and I am saying cheerio. See me in an episode sometime. Come back, like it, share it with your friends. This is good stuff. Right. Damn, Streamlabs crashing, not doing it. No idea if that episode got made properly or not. Who knows? Anyway, that's all good because it brings us through to the end of the show. Really disappointing that Streamlabs still says it's recording when it's not. I'm going to hopefully be able to publish that episode later on. Look at the way that my beard is now becoming actually grey. In terms of the numbers of grey hairs that are on there now is actually grey. If you want to kind of track my progress as a YouTube-tician, then go back and look at videos that I've had for the last couple of years and see that there wasn't grey in there. Oh my goodness. At least not visible on a camera from far away. Shikar Bajrachira. Thank you, Rocky. I will review this later. You're welcome, my friend. Oh, it's definitely good enough, Rocky. Thanks so much, Katie. Cheers for that. Discord. We are trying to improve that section of the course, and thought teaching it would be the way to do it best. If we do it on Discord, then it's giving value back to the community. Ken, yes, that's something we've been talking about. Good to see you in there. Iriam, was I right in hearing that you said that your name was Miriam? I wouldn't like to get your name wrong, and I know that sometimes because I have a forceful personality, I'll get somebody's name wrong, say it wrong, and they'll say it there and not say anything for a wee while. Shout out Sasha. So don't let that happen to you. Justin Pickerel, you are freaking killing it today. Thanks so much. Well, killing it softly with my running out of timesness right now because we're ending the show. We will be in a room sharing our screen and our video and voice, etc. And you can all follow along with your own chart. If you run into trouble, you can share your screen and we would explain it onto you. Exactly. All that good stuff. All that very good stuff. It's exclusive. It's happening in the Discord. It's where we do things. It's the greatest community on earth. I'm very proud to be a part of it. It's all of you that make it. I get to be there, experience it. Thank you so much there. Some of those grey hairs are definitely my fault after this week, says Katie Babes Facepalm. Much appreciated there with that a bit of insight. Yeah, it's true actually, but much love to you. Dover Mamba, heart. I hope earlier on in that section I did. I don't know if you're tuned in for it. I tried to make a section of the show specifically for yourself, my friend. I don't know if it will have been any good or not. I'll always try and work on improving stuff. But it's not to, it's not to Maria. Right. Right. And see, I don't want to see. So I don't like people letting me get away with stuff when I'm doing it wrong, especially if it's about your identity, etc. Don't remember, it wasn't obviously not to call you. It's not calling you out at all. It was you that inspired that episode. I made it for you, but absolutely, it's made for a whole load of people. Rocky is number one, says somebody. That's so really nice of you to say so. Really appreciate it. Kappa Chronic says a YouTube episode or something else. So there's chat going on there. Ronaldo Moreno says there he is, and you're chatting to each other. That's so great that you showed up at the show this week. Really, it was yourself. Arts of Labour, Taboo Tongue, Arts of Labour. Really fantastic. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. Arts of Labour has a YouTube channel, by the way. If anybody wants to know, you can go and check out the guy on YouTube. Really fantastic. Tradespawn, you've all been amazing for us, and I feel like I haven't done enough for the community on Discord. That's really lovely of you to feel like that, Jimmy, but you really do. You really do hit a lot of home runs for people. You absolutely do. And you do stuff on Tradespawn, and you do stuff as well. It's somewhat, there's a disparity of contact where some people maybe think that you're not doing stuff because they're able to contact me there, and it's kind of like maybe they expect to get the same from you, but actually I put in a ridiculous amount of number of hours into my thing, and I'm currently considering unfair on everyone that messages me. On everyone that messages me, it's so unfair on how little time I have to dedicate back to it. Especially whenever I really do appreciate the things that people are sending to me all the time. And I can't actually realistically spend even 15 minutes having a conversation with somebody without directly having to take that 15 minutes out of something else that I would be doing during the day, which I really do need to do. It's because it's used up all of that time and more. And it's got to the point where it's like, I don't have people hassling me. I don't have anybody. There's nobody in there. I want all the conversations I'm having. All of them. But I'm aware now that I may actually have to block anybody from being able to talk to me directly at all on the Discord in order to impose some degree of fairness on it. Fairness for yourselves and fairness for me. And that sucks, right? So I'm not going to do that right away, but these are things that are coming to my attention as time goes by. Anyway, thanks so much to all of you for being a part of what we do here. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to bring up the rolling credits so that I can talk about that. And I want to also go through all of the missed donations and stuff that have come in here, because I tell you, there's been a lot of them, and I really regret missing a single one. So let me kind of resolve that situation just now as I roll the credits and take a look at it. Dobermamba, for instance, is a donator in there, for example. So let me just read a couple of these things out. Ryan Seeley just donated $19.99 through Super Chat. When frustration bubbles up, I remember times like the Rocky DSI calling out 177. Cheers for Michigan, bud. Have a great weekend. Cheers from Michigan. Right, thanks so much, man. Michigan, salt of the earth. No, soul of the earth. No, I don't really know anything about Michigan. Greatest people in America. Nicest. I don't know. Love you, Michigans. Love Michigan. Hey, I'll just pretend. Love yous. Michigan people. Best. The best. They're the best. They're the best. They're the best. Wade donated £5. Great British pounds. Wow, excellent. Thanks so much for your sterling, mate. Through Super Chat. Hey, Rocky, could you briefly summarise for UK tax people, private traders at home, some points, please? It's all covered by cap gains. Thanks for great content. Right, so, yep, capital gains tax is primarily the main focus for it. It is indeed. The way that it would be not so the case would be if you were to define yourself as having being a professional trader, regardless of qualifications, and you are paying income tax on your income as a result. You can also run it all through a company, so it's not actually you that trades, it's the company that trades, and the company obviously themselves can pay capital gains tax, can pay you with PAYE, etc. There's lots of different ways of doing it. Bear in mind that UK is, of course, a very positive window dressing country. It obviously, like any other country, doesn't want you to evade tax, but it's got mechanisms set up there to allow people to have an efficient tax system that works for them as well as works for society to a greater or lesser extent. It's pretty shit, to be honest with you, but we do some things okay, one of which has got to be spread betting. For a lot of your typical trades, if you think, I want to buy Tilray today. I'm going to sell it next week and I want to make some money on it. How am I going to deal with the tax implications from that? Then, my friend, look into spread betting because you'll get that tax free. Now, you'll not get spread betting perhaps on crypto. You won't own the underlying asset. It is a synthetic thing, but that's an option, of course, for you, one that's not available anywhere else in the world, and it's one of the privileges of living in, of course, our incredibly corrupt United Kingdom. Yes, boom, nice one. No tax for traders. So, and then beyond that, if you're not a trader, if you're an investor, then define yourself as such. Thanks for watching as well to the super chat. Oh, I'm going to read them in a second. Ryan, yep, cool, nice one, buddy. Fred, cool, nice one, buddy, to you too. Thanks, Sasha, for $9.99. Rocky, you're a prince. Sasha, you're a princess, eh? Thanks so much for that. HJ donated. HJ. Awi. Happy Friday, man. Thanks so much for that. Kind B donated $5 through Super Chat. Hi, Rocky. Thank you for all your teachings and wisdoms. You are the man. Thank you, Kind B. Yeah, Kind B, yeah. John G donated $4.99 through Super Chat. Rocky, superb job, mate. You do glorious TA today. Thank you so much. That brings us back down to Aaron Ewing, who asked us to take a look at my analysis, our analysis of Zoom. I did that earlier on. Got the Katie Babes one request for DOT. Forgot to do it till the very end, but we did it in the end anyway. We got Adam, who pledged $25 through Patreon. Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much, Adam. I mean, patrons make a big difference. That's really quality. Thank you so much. Daniel Groves, and correct, that's right, you heard me correctly. Spread betting has got no tax implications for it. You don't pay tax on your spread, on your trading gains when done through spread betting. It's so yeah, you know, there isn't like a more explanation to that. If you want to kind of chat about the whys and hows of it, it's to do with things like the UK gambling culture, blah blah blah. Daniel Assange donated $10 through Super Chat. It is, oh, that's great. We read that one earlier on. Cool, that's me caught up. I think there's maybe got a couple of ones from earlier. By the way, actually, just in this episode, we've got a couple of cut-off shows today. We had Vasta earlier on, became a patron. Thank you so much. Just really appreciate you so much. Wolfric Doomslayer became a member, an early supporter plus. That happened yesterday, actually. In the previous stream, we had Classic Limmy S. Grant from that Dan, Bad Mama Jama as well, who donated as well. His name's not popping up on these credits right now, and stuff like that. So don't forget about those people. And I think we've just got another one in here as well. Shikar saying funds to get yourself a big fack off dongle for better internet. Thanks for the $5, man. That'll go towards my fack off dongle fund. Thanks so much. Right, brilliant, excellent. Quick reminder to people, by the way, this is how we left the charts, just so you can see. Is that going to work this time, the button? No, my button's not working to hide the background, but just so you can see, that's how we left the charts. That's the amount of fun that we end up having on the show here. It gets very Jackson Pollock in the end. So this is it. Final seconds, guys. Thanks so much. I lasted for 25 minutes longer than I wanted to yesterday, despite saying at 1:45 that I was going to tune out at 1:30 no matter what. Rule for next week: if I forget to do something, then maybe just I forget to do it and I tune out anyway and I feel bad the next day instead of sticking by. I don't know. It's the weekend now, so I feel pretty good about the extra time. To me, it's not a bother because it's the weekend. So hey, it's Friday, yeah. So thanks so much, donor Dubber Mamba, thanks mate. Super Chat, Katie Babes, Aaron Ewing, John G, Kind B, Awi, Observe Thyself, Fred Wade, and Ryan Seeley. And then thanks so much to everybody for joining me here. You've got the likes of well, there's Harry there. There's two, hope so. FU, great guy. Thank you so much for being a part of everything we do here. FU, of course. FU, yeah, man. Thanks so much. FU Money. Great stuff. KT, thanks so much. Is anyone here an NFT geek? Help, please. Well, there's somebody looking for help from an NFT god. If you you'll find help from the likes of Electro Boy. And in fact, if you ask in the Discord, you never know. You might be looking for names that haven't been around for quite a while, but it's a shame. It's a shame. I hope everybody that, by the way, for anybody that wants to join the Discord, go ahead and join it. Please be brave enough to talk and that, because you will be immediately well received. Everybody would love to see you. And for anybody that's there at the minute, be very, very welcoming and opening and kind to new people that join. Just as I would like to just categorically, very sagely, I think, and importantly point out that everybody that was there before was very welcoming to all of you who are there now. I've got people who talk to me and say to me things like, I've been here for the last 8 months, so I deserve X, Y, and Z, or I was here before you even did X, Y, or Z, and stuff like that. And the truth of it is, a lot of the people who say they've been here for the last 8 months haven't. They haven't been here. They've been here for the last maybe 6 months, or maybe 5 months, or 4 months, but not 8. Not since January. People have been in GME since January. They haven't been with me since January. It's a very, very distinct and stark